Hello and welcome to this journey again of empowered and purposeful. I am so grateful and excited today for a special guest, Nicole Ananda. It is so good to have you here. Welcome.
Thank you, Erica. It's so good to be here. I really appreciate it.
Yes, me too. I'm really excited to dive in. I know you and I just got to talk about how much we love to engage with fellow creative, spiritual guides, healer people on this journey of empowerment and purpose and spiritual growth. And what a joy we both receive from getting to hear from, learn from other folks. And that's really the intention of this whole event. So yeah, welcoming you here to share with us about breath work, the power of breath work, and the energy centers of the body. We're excited for a journey, experiential journey that you're going to take us on. I can't wait. Breath work in for the day. So, everyone, stick around for that towards the end. And yeah, really excited to dive in. Breath work is such a profound practice, that I know but everyone listening, probably lots of folks listening, are familiar with various breathwork practices. There's so many. We are all breathing now. Hopefully, that's that's
Welcome.
how we're yeah, that's how we're alive. And ancient traditions all around the world have cultivated and evolved many practices that really help us learn about the breath. So I know, for me, yeah, a big intention of this whole event is to help lift up and unearth these ancient wisdoms that are carried by many lineages and many people around the world, but have been very actively suppressed and shut down. And people who know me know I really like to name and reference, oppressive colonial systems that are strategically targeting, the places where our power is, right? And this work is all about empowerment. And it's that reclaiming of the power that has been intentionally oppressed so that we can regain and reclaim that innate truth, right? We all breathe, so we can all do breath work. And Nicole is going to share with us so much about how we can do that in some specific practices and yeah, help us really get more familiar too with the energy centers of the body, because again, these are such important wisdoms for us all to learn and deepen into so that we can be the most powerful humans, divine humans we can be. Yes, loving the embodiment. Yeah, so lifting up these wisdoms for all of us, right? To empower all of us and activate, elevate, catalyze, all the amazing work that we all are doing, and also just the beauty and aliveness of our own personal lives as well. So to you want to say something really
I was
quick?
just going to say yes, like a big yes to that and empowerment. And I'm all about divine feminine empowerment because that's the work that I do. But we all need empowerment. It's not just the feminine people, it's everybody. We need to be connected to our power again because there's so much forgetfulness about who we truly are at our core. And I love to just say, we're all unique emanations of source. And if we could remember that, there's no hierarchy of power. We're all empowered equally. And it's just whether or not we're willing to accept that or not.
So many keys you just said in there alone. I do want to riff off of that really quick.
Sure.
One is that, there is a lot of work around feminine empowerment right now and feminine healing. And I recently have been seeing more and more, male-bodied people really starting to feel the feminine inside of them and embracing this aspect of full spectrum, all genders inside all of us. And because we've been in such a patriarchal world, also as female bodied people, or as non-binary people, we've often been pushed to assimilate into these masculine and often toxic masculine traits and qualities. And so really, like, this my offerings are all always to all peoples of all genders, but also with this invitation to explore embodying all the genders within us all the time and really leaning into, what are the qualities of a more feminine energy in me that want to be, that want to be more seen or more expressed or respected and honored or embodied in the more powerful way instead of these also toxic feminine energies that come through in this oppressive society that we've been like pushed into being a certain way. So
Oh,
um
yeah. So
oh,
much
there's
juiciness in
so much juiciness. There's one more thing that
I
you
mean, we
said that
could
I
have
was
a whole discussion on masculine and feminine energy, mature masculine, mature feminine. I like to say it's mature and immature, feminine and masculine. We do, like, as a yogi, as someone who's practiced yoga for 20 years and teaches energy systems too. In yoga, we always were taught of the two main channels of energy, the Ida and the Pingala. And
mm,
it's like we've got this feminine energy and this masculine energy. And ultimately, we're actually looking for neutrality, like what's actually in the center. And that has been
mm,
somewhat missed, I think, in our culture. And it's like, what's the actual balance of the neutral energy that we're trying to find? And it's
mhm,
really union, that we're trying to find within.
mm,
So not the polarization, although, it's great in 3D realm and body and all that to have all this polarization. We learn so much through the contrast, but ultimately it's to unionize everything and get it to that place of like true source, right? So yeah.
true source and each of us being in our authentic wholeness, which is going to be a unique iteration for each of us, right? And our society has been, so like putting us in boxes of different identities that, puts different expectations, but like this is all about kind of breaking those boxes to being that true aligned essence and wholeness that we are. And I love as you were speaking just now. Yeah, this is like a big topic and we won't fully go into it obviously, but um in a lot of ways I think the way that the queer movements and non-binary movements are really helping us deconstruct those things within ourselves for the goal of freedom and not being put in boxes, right? And
That's
so in
amazing.
some ways I really honor, the queer and non-binary communities for helping us break down those binaries and showing us by example and ways of embodying that union that you were talking about, that integrated truth of who we are and yeah, and honoring all parts of ourselves for who they are and being able to see each other that way. So to everyone listening, we see you. We
We
see you.
see
We're going to
you.
dive
Yes.
in. We got so excited already. I haven't even shared your bio, but that is all in the beauty of this flow. So I do want to formally introduce you, Nicole, and then we'll dive in more fully here.
Sure.
Ah, yes, we got the juices flowing. I love that. So Nicole Ananda is a transformative force in the healing arts realm, boasting an extensive and diverse portfolio as a certified life coach, 500-year in yoga teacher training, breathwork trainer, Reiki master trainer, sound healer, author, podcaster, and a devoted mother. Mother with a capital M. I love that. Yes. Her academic journey in marketing at Georgetown University marked the beginning of a profound transformation that saw her transition from the corporate world to pioneering her healing arts business in 2009. Nicole's expertise particularly shines in the realms of trauma-informed healing. So important, right? We need more trauma-informed people out there because we are all traumatized. Yeah, so in the realms of trauma-informed healing, breath work, inner child work, also such an important key of all of our healing empowerment journeys, and in neo-shamanic processes, embedding a deep understanding of holistic wellness in her work. With over 2 decades of dedicated service, Nicole has touched the lives of thousands and now more for all of you listening.
More thousands.
Through her unique integrative and holistic methodologies, her work spans across a variety of platforms and settings, including classes, retreats, workshops, coaching programs, online courses, and certification programs, each designed to catalyze total transformation. Who here listening is in for some total transformation?
I was like,
Yes.
wow, I
And
like that bio. Did I write that?
yes. And at the heart of Nicole's mission is a commitment to empowering individuals, people of all genders, to embrace a life brimming with passion. I'm feeling it. You're offering it. We're vibing.
Yeah.
So Nicole, just as we dive in more, dive in deeper, and knowing we're going to be going into the realms of breath work and really exploring the energy systems of the body,
Yeah.
I would love to hear a few nuggets about your journey. What were some of the highlights that really inspired your growth and your empowerment and wisdom learning to be where you are now, sharing this with us?
Yeah. Wow. Thank you so much. I'll just say a little, a little bit without making it too much about my story, but to help people connect to, when I feel like spirit chooses you to be on these paths, at a specific time in your life. And it did for me at a very specific time in my life where I was starting to feel a lot of malaise in my life. Like I was not inspired by what I was doing or what I was seeing in the corporate world. And I was like, this just does not feel like me anymore. And at that same time, my dad passed away in 2001. And his spirit actually went through my body. And what I mean by that is I left him in the hospital. He went like this to greet me when I came in. His hands went up. And when I went home, I had the thought, he's going to pass tonight. And I woke up and my arms went up like this in the bathroom. And I knew he passed away. And then the phone rang and they said, your dad just passed. So and my arms uncontrollably lifted. So I knew there was this kind of transmission that went through me and an activation, which I'm so grateful for. Thank you, Dad. And it set me on this incredible path. Like, and actually my mom just passed a month ago, actually yesterday. And so I've had these these journeys that have propelled me at different points in my life. And I could talk about all those, but I won't. It's really to say that I went on this really long, deep spiritual exploration because I had the thought when my dad passed away, now I'm free. And that kind of freaked me out. It was like, why would I say that when my dad passed away? So I knew that there was trauma under there. I knew there was a lot of unresolved emotions. And I knew that there were belief systems that weren't mine or that were mine now, but were carried on through lineage, etc. And I wanted to unpack it so that I could understand, in depth myself, like go on basically a spiritual journey of self mastery is kind of what I call it. And that's when I was introduced to yoga. So I won't go too much further with that, but it was like, it was just this rolling unfoldment and journey from yoga to Reiki energy work. I ended up in the jungles of Peru doing plant medicine work and facilitation. And I just kept getting all these modalities just kept coming to me at the right time. And breath work came to me after I had my son. I became a mother when my son is 8. And right around that time, I did my last plant medicine ceremony, which was quite profound, but was very hard, extremely challenging. It was a massive ego death. I thought I died, like it was a whole thing. And I thought, I don't want to do this and risk this, at least the thoughts that I had when I have my son here. How can I provide that depth of transformation? Because I facilitated for 8 years with my shamanic teacher for people to bring them to altered states without actually having to ingest something, without it having to be too risky. We were vetting people and people were lying and they were doing all sorts of medications. It was getting dangerous, to me and risky for me. And I thought, and what I learned later was that was what that ceremony was about. It was almost like I had to get kicked off the path. I was so dedicated to it in a very profound way to say, ground yourself, take care of your son. The highest form of yoga, as a teacher of mine said, is motherhood. Motherhood is the biggest teacher. And when I really ingested that, I was like, God, this is so true because everything is mirrored back to us when we become a parent. And it's been a profound teacher and super challenging. And I'm glad I went on that journey. And so that's when I found breathwork was when I had my son. And Michael Brian Baker is my teacher. He owns a place called the Breath Center. And Judith Kravitz in the 70s was really who brought transformational breath work to the mainstream, I could say. There were many, people at that time, like in the 70s, we had holotropic breath work with Stan Groff, and we had Leonard Orr, who did rebirthing techniques. And there's many teachers that my teacher also studied with, clarity breathwork, Ashana and Dana DeLong. And they've been around for 40 plus years, so they're very masterful people in kind of the modern day breath work. And so I wanted to learn this because I had experiences with many of them and thought, wow, this is really life changing. And I'd been a yoga teacher for 20 years already, so I'd done pranayama practices, but this style of more modern day conscious breathing, lying down, these longer form practices of connected breathing were bringing me to the same altered states, and in a much shorter amount of time. Plant medicine ceremony could be 9 hours, or all night, and this would be in an hour. So it was rapid results. It was sustainable long term. It was healthier for the nervous system, and especially for people like myself who had been through a lot of trauma. I've been through a lot of trauma in my life. Like I feel like I came in and said, give me all the traumatic experiences you could possibly give me so I could understand the full spectrum of what it means to actually live with trauma. And I think that's how I became trauma informed, was through my own life experience and working through that and helping other people work through that. So somatic practices were a big key. Sensory, if I say somatic, sensory experiences using your breath and sounds and smells and voice and body movement and embodiment work that I know you do. It's like all of these systems need to be engaged and enlisted to move the energy through us to really heal. It can't just be cognitive anymore. And I was very clear with that because I've done cognitive and not saying cognitive therapy doesn't work, it does. So it's like, but adding other modalities and creating this holistic system of care is so important. And I know that there's so many therapists out there that are now teaming up with people like you and I and saying, how can we support with whole care, the whole human system? And that's happening, which is so awesome. So it's like, yeah, breathwork is becoming one of those really fantastic tools that people are like jumping on, and they're like so excited about it. And I'm so excited about it. So that was a
Oh,
little bit of a long kind of story, but it wrapped in, I think,
mhm.
work, and like what it is. But I'm so open to continuing to talk about benefits or whatever you think is important.
Yeah, yeah. Let's dig into some of a little bit more about the breath work, and then knowing we're going to get to do a mini breath work practice, and also you have ways for folks to connect. Um, Yeah, I would love to hear some examples of the benefits of breath work, and if it feels relevant, maybe even what is happening, and maybe in relation to the energy system and the energy centers when we're really engaging in that conscious breath work.
Okay. Yeah. I like to always say that the breath is really like the most powerful medicine that we have, because we're born with our breath and we die with our breath. There's spiritual energy coming through our breath. In yoga, it's taught as prana life force coming through the breath. So it's this life force that's traveling. And when we're breathing, we're gaining that life force, that vitality, and that energy. So it's also the bridge between the subconscious and the emotional body and the conscious mind as well. And it's also a bridge and a portal between our physical selves and the unseen realms. So it's like this really fascinating, multifaceted tool that we have. And the power of breathing, I feel these days, is the ability to emotionally release. Because, like you said, a lot of oppression over millennia. And so, what are we releasing? We're releasing a lot of the subconscious or the emotional material, the old beliefs, the old patterns, through this circular breathing that's connecting us to relaxation in the form that I use. It's really about relaxing and calling up things that are stuck, whether it's patterns of thought or what have you, that create tension. When we create tension, we're cutting off our life force. So, as we're breathing, if we can recall memories and past and things that cause that tension, and consciously open our bodies and consciously relax our muscles and our tension, then we break the habit of contracting. And that's really, when we're triggered, we contract. When we're triggered, we go into these nervous system responses. And we're so patterned into fight, flight, or freeze as a culture that we're kind of in that most of the time, and I see that in yoga classes, breath work, what have you, healing sessions. It's like people come in, they're like hyperventilating, like very ungrounded. And all of us are like that. I can get like that too. So, being in these breathwork practices is how we navigate our nervous system, and the breath is the quickest way to effectively change the nervous system. It's the quickest way. And so, conscious breathing is to just be really mindful and aware of our breath. In fact, we'll take a deep breath right now because I can talk really fast when I get excited about something that I'm passionate about. Some of the benefits, there's so many benefits, like on a physical level, oxygenating the body, also regulating our CO2 levels, which people don't really talk about that much, but that balances the pH in our blood. It supports that relaxation of muscles, like I already talked about, helps with cortisol levels and reducing stress hormones. On an energetic level, again, pranic life force flowing energy. If I don't do my breathwork practice now, I just feel tight and constricted. And I'm like, oh, what happened today? Oh, I didn't do my breathwork. And now it's so ingrained in me. I never leave home without it, but I can tell that my vibrancy is different. Even on an emotional level, like releasing stress, anxiety, fear, a lot of that stuff comes up in breathwork ceremonies that I do. And so we can see the release of those energies, shame, guilt, like things that are stuck in the chakra system or the vortexes of energy. They each kind of contain information like that. And so you can kind of map the emotions to that system. And you can start to regulate your emotional system by understanding that system as well, because you gain this kind of mastery of like, oh, where is that in my body and how can I move that out. And then on a mental, let's say, plane, I find it to bring a lot of clarity, um, focus, just reducing some of the mental chatter that comes up. So, we are as you know, a multi-dimensional system, and it really kind of hits all these different dimensions, which is why I also love it too. So, I could say a lot about yoga being a very similar, very comprehensive. It's part of the yogic system. And it's the second, kind of like one of the pillars of the yogic system is asana, the postures, and pranayama, breath control, breath work practices. Big science, and way more than what a lot of us are teaching as, like, let's say, modern day breathwork trainers. We're teaching very specific patterns of breathing, whereas in the yogic system, I mean, there's books, of pranayama techniques that you could get into that are real specific. These more modern day ones are, I say, primarily about emotional release and getting you to that higher state or altered state of consciousness, so you can really see your system from that higher mind and gain insight.
Mm,
That was a lot, I know,
mhm.
but yeah.
Well, there's a lot there. That was really informative. A few things that stood out to me, you know, And actually, this has come up several times in some other conversations with guest speakers in the series. So it's a really important message to get across that a lot of people don't necessarily understand is how important it is to release and move those emotions because we're often taught to really suppress them or hold them in, or your anger isn't welcome, or you need to go grieve in privacy. Our culture, this, westernized, modernized culture has lost a lot of those practices of people often say intact cultures, earth-based, community-based cultures where there actually is space for grieving together, or there is space to, I mean, not to idealize or, uh, yeah, many different cultures have different ways of doing this, but just to say, generally in our modern society, we often I think it's a returning idea that people are really realizing, oh, actually, I need to express myself. I can't just keep holding this in or pretending things are okay. And then you spoke something about, when you leave your house, you don't, really have your day without the breath work, and that you feel this vital, like life force energy, that aliveness, perhaps. And I think a lot of people in our society, and perhaps a lot of folks listening, feel that lack of aliveness, or that lack of vital energy, or that feeling of, a little stuckness or tightness, or you mentioned the contracting and the stress, right? That we're almost perpetually in stress, a lot of us, myself included, and how what that is actually the impact of that on our bodies, and what is missing, and so I think a lot of people listening might be considering, what am I, what kind of practice do I maybe want to bring into my life, and how can I be embodied and connected, and move that energy through. I know when I was listening to some about your work, and I said, oh my goodness, we're speaking a lot of the same language. When I saw you describing about the breath work and talking about the channels, the energy flowing up and down. Again, these are kind of ancient, this is ancient knowledge. This is the reality, the truth of being embodied humans, with the energy centers and the way it flows through the body. So we're not talking about some like new discovery, right? This is kind of a more resurgence of ancient wisdom, and innate practices. And so my passion, that's very similar to yours, but through different practice, is really in a place of that embodied dance ceremony, right?
Oh,
People used to always dance. There was no like, you're a dancer or you're a singer or you're a breath worker or not.
right.
It's like we all dance together. We all share this feeling. And it's similarly to breath work, it's a practice, like doing dance, doing free form dance can express yourself. And there's other speakers in this event too who'll be talking more about that. But yeah, it's so powerful. So maybe just off of that inspiration, if you want to just add one more snippet around,
Yeah.
these are such big topics. I'm
I
really,
know,
it's not
I
fair.
know.
It's not fair of me
So
to
good.
these
So good.
practices to be asking this of you, but maybe just like choose one thing about, assuming that most folks listening have some familiarity, or maybe even a lot of extensive knowledge about the energy centers and the way energy flows in the body. Maybe pick one thing that really is really relevant to your work, relating to the energy system, and then we can move into the practice.
Oh, I love that. Well, the practice that I was going to offer is using breath. It's a rapid breath that will take us through the body into kind of like this beautiful liminal space where we're just out of our heads and really in our hearts. And I will mention the chakras. And I one of the freebies that I'm offering is what I called the 7 keys to unleash your power. And we're talking about the 7 energy centers, the chakras. And those are these wheels of energy. And I'm sure if you know what the chakras are, they're just very, very multidimensional. So there's physical assets to the chakras and relatability there. There's endocrine relatability to the chakras
Mm.
and where your organs are. So it affects your hormones, and there's information there. There's emotional components to all of the chakras. And there's also subconscious information and mental constructs and belief systems and patterns that are also related to the chakras. So they're very multidimensional. And I know a lot of people might just think of it as like, oh, it's just an energy. And that's just like the tip of the iceberg. I mean, there's a book that's the Bible of chakras that I always talk about. It's called Wheels of Life, Anna Dia Judith. If you want to check out more and more about chakra systems, you can read that book. But my leave behind for that, I have a chakra meditation that I'll offer that will take you through each chakra to understand what the chakra is about from a holistic level. So you can go through that in meditation, listening to sound bowls and music, and really kind of clear out the the body and the energy system and the mental habits and the subconscious. And with that, there's a worksheet. So you can journal. There's some journal prompts, and you can kind of see where you're blocked just based on that. And you can do chakra meditations every day, and you might find different blocks just because of life experience and
Mm.
what's coming up and what we're ingesting and what we're allowing into our system from day to day. So it's kind of like going and getting your car washed. You know, you want to maintain your system. So I would just suggest that you do, chakra healings and meditations pretty regularly, because it will really allow you to feel that
Mm.
vitality. And when you add the breath work, it just gives you, what we'll do today is kind of go to this higher perspective. So you can see your system from like a higher, what we call like the observer mind in yoga. And
Mm.
wherever you feel there's density, because a block really to me is just energetic density, you'll place your hands there. And then you can go to that meditation if you don't know much about the chakras and just read about it, learn a little bit about it. That way, I don't have to explain each one, but you have a
Mm.
resource for it. And then you'll go, oh, maybe I'm blocked in my throat chakra and my womb space or my sacral chakra. Oh, great. Now I know that maybe there's something that I'm holding back. Maybe I'm holding back my voice, or I'm not speaking my truth, or I'm playing small. Or is that related to, the relationship that I had that was a toxic relationship 10 years ago that's living in my sacral chakra? So there's things that live emotionally in our bodies that could be creating those blocks that we still need to heal. So that's kind of the idea. So I'll take you to that higher realm, and we'll just kind of scan the body intuitively, and you'll feel into the spaces that feel denser, and you'll literally just kind of place your hands there and go, ah, so quick note, if you don't know what the seven chakras are, first chakra is kind of like the tailbone. You can kind of think of it as below the pubic bone area. So that's one, if you feel like, oh, that's where all the density is. Two, sacral chakra, the womb space right below the navel, right? And then you've got right above the navel, the third chakra, our self empowerment. Then we have the heart, we have the throat, we have our third eye, and we have the crown. So if you find your hands moving to any of these places, now you kind of just know what they are. And then you can look the rest up. It is a deep, as Erika knows, system that's really, really so incredible. And when you know the location of where things are, that's like the first step. And then you kind of engage with the material. So hopefully that'll make sense. Yeah.
Mhm.
A little quick overview.
Yes. Yes, a quick overview, and thank you for, acknowledging how many resources are all available out there. I'm sure there's a wide range of folks listening who have a lot of depth of experience and some who are maybe new. So, we want to invite everyone into this practice
Everybody. Yeah.
together, and I'm feeling inspired to also really honor the Hindu traditions and the ancient wisdom, that so much of this knowledge has been carried through and has been yeah, really received and evolved through the Hindu tradition and other Eastern spiritual practices. So just a
Absolutely.
big thank you.
Buddhism,
Yeah.
Tibet, India,
Hmm.
even
Hmm.
Egypt, right? I mean, we could go back
Yeah.
thousands and thousands, and
Yeah.
it's a spiritual technology, I like to say, all of it is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I love putting that word, the spiritual technology. It like helps people really understand that there's these very specific strategic practices around energy that are extremely powerful.
Yes, for sure.
So yes, yes, it's a spiritual embodied
Embodied,
technology.
yes. Yeah, and one thing I wanted to say is it is true. Like, I love that you brought it back to embodiment because a lot of people think that the whole point is just to go out of the body. Like, we're always going up, 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 up in most meditations, but that's not true. It really is. It's going up, it's connecting with spirit and coming back down and bringing spirit to matter. So, and that's what I think all of us as practitioners of embodiment and somatics and energy work are really enforcing right now. If we're enforcing anything or just perpetuating this idea that it's like to be in the body is so important for anchoring the wisdom that comes through spiritually. So we're not escaping our bodies right now, like,
Mm-hmm.
especially now. I think at this time on the planet, we recognize that, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of more of an extension. And when I talk, you can't see my other hand, but
I
it's
love
that,
it. Yeah.
that extension up and down when I facilitate the dance ceremonies we're doing using visualization similar that you'll probably be taking us with is that up and down, and a lot of people say you can only go as far up as you are grounded. So I often think of like that being that tree of life that is deeply, expansively going up and down, and then also the around, like the toroidal, the branches up and around, and the roots up and yeah.
Oh, I
Oops, so much
love
cool
that
stuff.
image that
But
you just had. I was just in it. I was like, yes. Well, it's like your poster back there. It's like this whole,
yes. Yeah,
yeah.
this one doesn't have as much of the roots down.
I love it
Like
though,
this,
but it does show
yeah.
that, right? And then the field around her.
Yes, yes, yes. This is one of my paintings, um,
Oh.
and my art. For folks who've seen my art, yeah, there's often this like big column of light moving through, and the spiraling of energy, and they're helpful visual aids, for this kind of practice that we do. And
I would
surely
love
you've
one of
had a.
those.
Hmm?
I was like, I want one of those. So that's your, I didn't
All
know that
right.
was your art. That's fantastic.
Yes, yes. There's actually it's
So,
another one right here
woo!
that has a yoga pose, a tree pose in there.
Oh, wow, I love that. That's fantastic, Erica.
There's our up and down.
Wonderful. Oh, I love how it's like centered in the core. Is that the heart?
Yes,
Yes, the heart of the earth and the planet and the heart of all things. Like, oh, it's so beautiful.
yes, and the lungs and the tree branches too.
Oh, wow.
Pew 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 pew
You
pew.
are a talented woman on so many
Oh,
levels.
my
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Woo! Thank you. Thank you.
That makes all of us, everyone, me and you and me. This is about all of our empowerment and how, yeah, we're multidimensional,
Oh my
multi-talented
gosh, we so
beings. And
are. Yeah, we all are. Yeah,
without further ado, because I know
we do.
I'm excited for some breath work. So
Yeah.
we could keep diving into all these exciting ideas, but let's experience it whenever you're ready.
Yeah, so this is
Yeah.
actually a different practice than I typically offer, let's say, in ceremonial work, because those are hour-long practices. So this is going to be a very rapid breath, and it's kind of intense. It goes through an O shape in the mouth. So it's like this. So you're focusing on the exhale, like Kalapati. Some people know this as breath of fire in yoga. So it's like if you had a mirror, you'd be fogging the mirror. Does that make sense? Right? So you can feel that pumping. We'll start with 10 breaths like that, and then I'll pause you. We'll take a deep inhale, we'll hold it, and then we'll release it. Then we'll do 15 breaths, then we'll do 20. After that, you're going to be in a higher kind of state of consciousness, and then I'm just going to channel. I have no idea what I'm going to say, but we're going to just go into it and see what happens. And I love that space too. It's like whatever spirit is guiding is what spirit's guiding. And I'll just kind of tap into the chakras and into your embodiment. Okay. All right. So we'll start by just seated pose, feet on the floor. If you can sit upright, that would be wonderful. The music's perfect. Thank you so much, Erica. And we'll start with our breathing. Just like empty out the breath. Take a deep inhale, O-shaped mouth, and start. Take a deep inhale. Hold the breath. Keep your shoulders relaxed as you hold that breath. Relax your body. And I'm talking, but you're holding the breath. Just start to see there's a little vibration happening already. Let that happen. That's normal. Good. And then focus on your feet. So stay in your feet, stay in your body as we're doing this. Okay. Second round is going to be 15 breaths, just like we did. Take a deep inhale. Hold the breath, deep breath in. Relax the shoulders, feel the vibration connecting in, allowing the oxygen to permeate all the cells. And start to feel this wavering, start to feel all of your energy. And then exhale, release the breath, relax. You're focusing on the feet, so you're in your feet and in towards the crown. Let's take another series of breaths, 20 of those breaths. Take a deep inhale. And begin. Deep breath in. Hold the breath, relax your body, feel that permeation of the oxygen into the cells, relax your body. You might even feel a little lightheaded. Some people do. It's just bringing a lot of oxygen real quickly. A little bit of a hyperventilation technique, but it brings us right up into our crown. I want you to imagine now just opening the crown chakra, opening to the heavens. And the heavens just meaning spiritual consciousness. Allowing ourselves to connect to the unseen realms, the universe, and expansiveness. Just a field of unlimited potential. Everything that you could possibly imagine here. Permeating with love, unconditional support, and feeling that connection to the cosmos. And so that breath brought us this liberating current of energy all the way up through our system, up to this magnetic place. And then very slowly, we're just going to imagine if we have access to this unlimited potential, that it's like a funnel. And if you were to place the funnel at your crown, when we come into our bodies, there are conditions and things that we go through in order to funnel all of that energy. Think of this as like, how do we bring all that expansive energy into our bodies and to ground it and to manifest it? Well, we have to create focus. And so now we're focusing with whatever intention it is that you have. And this is where we need to be more clear with what it is that we really want. To focus our desire, to bring it through the chakra system, down the body to manifest into 3D physical form. What is it that you desire? And let that come from your heart. Maybe today it's a better relationship with your son. Maybe today it's to feel empowered. Maybe today it's to create a connection with somebody you love. Whatever that is. And we'll travel down our chakra system from the crown down into the third eye center. This area that connects us to our imaginative qualities, our spiritual powers. that dances with consciousness and sees way beyond eyesight, that feels, that senses, that hears, that listens, that knows that consciousness is working with us. Life is working with us. Life is collaborating with us. There's like this knowingness and trust that starts to build. So imagine into that, what is it that you'd like to see, feel, touch, taste in your life? And start to imagine it from that place of knowing. And then we'll start to bring that energy down. This is the manifesting current towards the throat, where we get to express, this is what I want. If I'm really honest, if I'm really transparent, if I'm really authentic, this is what I'm expressing outwardly. Through my impeccable words, through the choice of my words. Because my words are powerful vibrators of energy that send off currents of information. And we'll bring that down to the heart, to really embody in the heart, to love it, to love what we're bringing through our bodies, to express that, to connect to other people about our imaginative desires. So we start to draw connection to people. Connection is our currency. Heart is our currency. And so we bring love and kindness and compassion to the things that we are drawing to us. And then we bring that down into our belly center, into this beautiful place where we start to recognize that all the gifts and talents and skills that we've been cultivating in our lives, that is so much a part of what we desire and what we will attract. This is our confidence, it's our vitality, it's our enthusiasm, it's how we bring this thing forward in physical reality. And we need our energy, we need our breath, we need we need to work out, we need to eat good foods, we need to fuel this body. It's our transformative space. It's our fire, our passion. And then we'll bring it down into that sacral center, the second chakra, where this is the water center, where we start to let it swirl about. This is our deep intuitive knowing, our passions, our more earthly desire, where things are stemming from. And it's this cultivating space of nourishment, of self-care, of dance and movement, and using our bodies to really move the energy through us, as us. It's all of our energy, our feminine, our masculine, the polarities, the dance, the emotions, that human experience that we get to flavor everything with. Our pleasure, letting pleasure come into what you desire. And lastly, like Erika said, we ground all of these desires deep down into the root of the earth, feeling how deep we can connect there. Connecting to all of our needs again. It's like the sixth chakra and the seventh chakra, all of our needs met. Life supporting us. All of us connected. All sentient beings connected, grounded, stabilized, really rooted and anchored. And so we've come from that liberating current of being up in that celestial realm, that cosmic realm, and we've brought all of this exquisite kind of uniqueness that is you, your essence, into that very specific, focused desire. And now we're bringing it down through the manifesting current all the way into the earth to anchor it, to root it, so that we see forth, we walk that path forward. And it is our birthright. This is our birthright. We get to do this every day. And I won't talk about any of the instabilities of the chakras right now. Just keep you in this really beautiful space of knowingness that you are a powerful creator and that the embodiment is the key to getting what you need, what you want, what you desire, what is your birthright, being in this earth school right now, to have, to be, to hold, to walk, to share. So maybe just seeing yourself as that tree. Erika gave us the best visual that we could possibly have for this meditation. Thank you. See yourself as the tree of life, connected in all those ways. And your energy body fully equipped, all that you need. And I did say that I would ask you to put your hands somewhere in your system if you feel like there is a block still, or you're feeling like there's something that's not connecting, or there's a hole or a space or something that's just not clicking. Just put your hands there, wherever that is. Or maybe you just need extra energy or love there, and that's okay too. Place your hands somewhere and just note that. Oh, that's the heart chakra. Oh, that's my womb space. Or oh, that's my crown chakra. And just know that that's something that you can go back to learn about, to nourish, to learn more about, and to hopefully clear. There's very specific practices that you can do for every single chakra that are physical, energetic, mantras, affirmations, all sorts of great stuff. And then we'll bring our awareness back down to our feet, just really anchoring ourselves to this space, seeing yourself encircled in just a golden light, and recognizing that your breath is that alchemizer. It keeps you in that energy alchemy. So hopefully you get to experience breath as a practice, longer form, or even just going to an app and doing breath work, just mini practices, 3 to 5 minutes. You can start. A minute you could actually start and work your way up. And then we'll bring our awareness to our hearts and come back into our space. Just kind of integrating the room wherever you are. Yeah. And that was so quick, but hopefully you start to see how powerfully it can lift you, right away, and get you into the space out of your head.
Ooh, thank you for that, Nicole. I went somewhere. I almost had to, I'm glad I pulled over my chair to sit because that was needed and I almost had to lay down suddenly.
Yeah.
The breath work is so powerful.
Yeah. Yeah, it can be very powerful. And, when you're doing some of the long form practices, you're definitely lying down, because it's like, yeah, you've got to, because it can really get intense sometimes.
Mhm.
But also it goes really, it just goes really deep. So,
Yeah, and I mean, just like, I love going deep, and I have had many very deep, dissolve into infinite consciousness experiences, both in breath work and in the energy dance that I do. But yeah, the lightheadedness is real. And wow, just it was so the breathwork piece was so short and so powerful, really. Yeah, I hope everyone tuning in got to experience some aspect of a journey, and thank you for bringing us through those energy centers. And our time just flew by so fast because it's so fun connecting with you, Nicole.
Talk forever, I'm
Uh,
sure.
yes. So without any ado, let us hear some ways that people can find you and connect with your work. I will definitely have some links down there so people can click on, your sites and your offerings. But what are some ways that you work with people that you would invite people to connect? And also tell us about your free gift. You mentioned it already, but
Yes. I would say you can go to my website. My website is nicoleanandacoaching.com. And on there, there's coaching services, there's breath work. I have different tabs. I have events and retreats and things like that. So that's one way. And what's coming up, like the free gift that I'm offering is a fun, like I said, it's a chakra meditation. It's got some sound healing. It's a bit more informative and educational, but also meditation. And it comes with this little mini workbook, so you can kind of look at that. And yeah, I mean, I do monthly breathworks in person and online virtually for a women's group that I host that's called The Empowered Woman. It's a Facebook group, but I've actually just even expanded that to just any women coming into the container to experience that. We usually do that on the new moon, and I'll put those events up on Facebook and things like that. And if there's any practitioners out there right now that are looking to get facilitation certification, I have a breathwork certification program that's upcoming. That's in June 20th, over the solstice to the 23rd. So that's going to be powerful. And that's in Ashland. So that's also on my website, and maybe we can put a link down below for that as well. So, there's what I'm really jazzed about, as I'm kind of moving through my own practice of life, is getting to a place where I really want to mentor at a higher level, because I've just been in this business for so long. I really want to empower healing arts professionals to get out there and to create deeper transformation. And this practice really helps that. Like, I've heard a lot of practitioners say, when I added breath work, it brought my whole practice to this deeper transformation for my clients and longer lasting results, or just even sustainable results. And my focus is on integration. So I call it integration breath work, and integrating, like really coaching people, like having experiences and having integrative care, so that it's not just catharsis, but it's actually a longer term, set of goals for the client, so that it is more of that total transformation. So that's what I'm really excited about now. And that's part of the program, is also mentorship, like long term. So I'm really excited about that, and excited just to have this modality out there alongside my women's empowerment coaching. So thank you so much for inviting me to this incredible container of women, men, and every sort of gender, and the way that you call yourself and embody yourself. Yay. Like all those pieces, like everybody who's here. I'm so honored to be able to teach or share any golden nuggets today.
I'm feeling the energy of empowerment, and just really uplifting these powerful wisdoms that we all have access to in our breath. And I'm a little bit geeking out in my mind, because I've been doing breath work on and off for a long time, and I've been really curious to cultivate more spaces that combine the energy dance that I do with more conscious breath work,
Yeah.
because it really is about opening those channels and really activate. I tell people my art also has this impact of touching us deeply, and opening that activation of the true essence of our spiritual power. This whole event is about helping us all really see and remember and, you know, really respect the truth that I see that we have, that we are really powerful beings in these bodies. And you know, from a place of seeing the dire state of the world, you know, how can we reclaim some, you know, and rise into that power more and share that and share these ideas so that we can all rise up with heart. You know, that's my name, my business and name, right? So we can really, yeah, activate those gifts, share that knowledge, live in that vital life force energy that you talked about through this embodied spiritual practices. So
Oh,
Nicole, thank you so much. Thank you
thank
so
you.
much for bringing all of that knowledge with your extensive experience and so much heart, you know, in really sharing
Thank you.
with us. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll have to do it another time and dive in more in, you know, the trauma informed part, you know, that could have been the whole theme of,
Oh,
around
I
this
know.
talk too. And I was tempted. I was like, ooh, we could focus on breath work or the trauma. It's like all of it.
All of it. Yeah.
Um,
I do focus on that in the training too, because it is a very important subject. But
Definitely.
maybe a podcast. You can come on my podcast and we'll talk about
All
it.
right. Well, that
Empowered
might not
Women
be as
podcast.
yeah.
Yeah.
I would love to have more deep dives with you, Nicole. Thank you so much. And thank you to everyone listening. I hope you received some powerful nuggets, maybe some things that you've been hearing often, and this talk inspired you to take that next step action to actually bring more of these practices into your life in a real and consistent way. And as we both spoke earlier, it's like, oh, and we're talking to ourselves also.
Exactly.
Erica, you want to bring more breathwork into your life? Oh, yes, I
Always,
would love to.
always the student and the teacher.
Yes, yes, yes. Well, blessings to all of you out there. May you be in that power and purposeful journey of your truth, your unique path. And yeah, so many blessings. Mwah. You are a powerful divine being.